Well, we shift gears from John Hughes of the Browns to one of the great running backs in Ohio State history, and of course a great runner in his own right with the Chicago Bears and other NFL teams. Our own Raymont Harris joins us. Raymont, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bruce. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad to be here.
I saw Raymont at he was inducted into the Ohio Sports Hall of Fame, the ceremonies which we covered last fall.
Yeah.
And it was a great tribute to you and most deserving. Quite a night.
Hey, man, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. Growing up in Cleveland area, I grew up in Lorain, west of the city. Just knowing how many great athletes that have been through here and been, part of not just high school and collegiate ball, but in the professional ranks. For me to be associated with all those people and be recognized for my sports, I mean, it was definitely a truly a big honor for me.
And that night was prestigious for Raymont to go into the hall because not only Coach Tressel went in the same night,
right,
but Vondra Ward, the great boxer and basketball player, and Clint Jones, which a little before your time.
Yeah, a little bit before me, man.
I remember Clint Jones of Michigan State, man. That 66 game with the Spartans and Notre Dame 10-10 tie. I still say to this day it's the best college game I've ever seen, but it was a very prestigious group.
Yeah, I heard a lot about those games. Obviously, like you said, I was a little bit young. I don't even know if I was a sparkle in my father's eye at that point, but I've heard so much about it, and I pride myself on being a historian of sports that it was great for me to actually be just together with all those great people on that same night and be recognized and honored for it. I mean, it was awesome. It was.
Did you grow up an Ohio State fan?
Oh, absolutely. But, growing up in the Cleveland area, it was weird. Through the late 80s, it was just as easy to find a Michigan fan as it was to find an Ohio State fan. So I actually grew up being a fan of both. And one thing that people don't know is I actually committed to Michigan and Bo Schembechler before I went to, decided to go with John Cooper in Ohio State.
Raymont is a very sharp guy. And he anticipated my next question because in doing my prep for the interview with our friend here, I saw you committed to Michigan first.
Yes, yeah.
How dare you?
I know, man. When I look back at it now, I think oh my God, what were you thinking? But if you go back to the early 1980s, you think about Bo Schembechler was obviously he was an icon in the sport of football, and I dare and challenge anybody to go on a plane to Ann Arbor, sit with Bo Schembechler at dinner, and him tell you that you're going to be the future of Michigan, and you tell that person no.
What swung you to Ohio State then?
Actually, going to Columbus, John Cooper was a phenomenal recruiter, and there was something about the city of Columbus, and there was something about being part of bringing my state university back versus going to a place out of state that was already established that really caught my eye. And the fact that they were bringing in great talent, I just wanted to be a part of that.
And before with Raymont, before going at Ohio State, before he got the starting job, Robert Smith, Carlos Snow, Vince Workman were the starters. After you left the Buckeyes, Eddie George, Pearson, Wiley. Ohio State's always been known for backs.
Yeah, we have a stable. We call it the stable there. It's the kind of place that you don't really regroup. You just reload. There's no rebuilding there, especially when it comes to the running backs. And all you got to do is keep looking at not only the legacy with Archie and Pete Johnson and Tim Spencer, but then fast forward to Beanie Wells and Antonio Pittman, and then you see someone like Boom Herron. And now we got another great one right there now with Carlos Hyde.
Claret got in trouble, but he was phenomenal.
He was
part of that national championship team.
Yeah, he was an animal.
It's a shame because I think he would have made a great pro.
He was great. And, I mean, for the guy to actually miss a full year of football and then still get drafted in the third round by the Denver Broncos like he did,
that's true.
It just goes to show how talented he was.
Starring at Ohio State, you set the school record for most rushing yards in a bowl game with 235. Also, Raymont here going on to an illustrious pro career. But before we get into his professional career, under Coach Cooper, you went to 4 bowl games, the Liberty Bowl, the Hall of Fame Bowl, the Citrus Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, which was the only one of the 4 that you guys won when you were there.
My senior year was the only one we won, unfortunately. And that was, unfortunately, like the curse for John Cooper, not having a great record against Michigan,
right,
and then not winning a lot of bowl games. But luckily, I took a lot of pride in the fact that my senior class was the one that turned it around and actually won a bowl game for our coach.
And then on to the professional career with the Chicago Bears, and you were an integral part of the 94 Chicago Bears playoff team, went on to lead the Bears in rushing for the 96 NFL season. And as
97 too, don't forget that
and
one.
97 too. But you know, as you well know, I'm originally from Chicago. I've been here in Cleveland since '78. But as much as the Cubs are beloved, it's a Bears town.
It's a Bears town. And remember, like during the time I was there was during the 90s. So that was the height of the Chicago Bulls. So you had Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and, you know, the back-to-back three-peats that they had. But even with all that, man, there's something about the Chicago Bears being blue-collar, hard-working city and town. The fact that we had the monsters of the Midway, the people there, like, phenomenal sports fans, second only to the Cleveland fans, in my opinion.
And you, I've always said, you know, our rivalry here with the Steelers, which once, and I'd like to think optimistically as we're looking up with the Browns these days, Raymond, is going to be back as a full-fledged, intense, great rivalry like it once was.
Yeah.
But that Green Bay-Chicago rivalry, second to none.
Oh, second to none. Coming from college, I mean, I'm so fortunate, and I feel so privileged that not only in college was I part of the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, which was, in my opinion, was the best football rivalry in college, but then also to go into the NFL and be part of, you know, the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packer rivalry. I mean, it was unbelievable. I started off the first 4 years in Chicago, and then as a free agent, I went to Green Bay, so I got a chance to see it from both sides. And I have to say, second in my heart, only to Ohio State and Michigan, is that Chicago Bear-Green Bay rivalry.
You are also so unique in that when you went to Green Bay, you got hurt after your days with Chicago, which eventually led to the end of your professional career.
Yeah.
But Raymond is so unique in that you played under both Mike Holmgren and Belichick.
Man, you got a great, you got a great research staff
Talk
here.
about those guys for us.
It was cool. It was different because like timing in terms of my career I was always a little bit off. When I went to Green Bay, they had just gone to the second Super Bowl. From Green Bay, I went to Denver, and they just went to their second Super Bowl. From there, I went to New England, and it was the year before they went to their first Super Bowl.
Missed out on all of them, one way or the other. That's bad
The one
luck,
person
man.
that's involved in that is me, so maybe it's me. I guess I don't know.
What was it like playing for Holmgren?
Holmgren was cool. I think I got by the time I got to the team, Holmgren had already won the Super Bowl, and he already had a street named after him, and he was much ballyhooed as this offensive genius. And there were times where it seemed like it may have actually gotten into his head. But, I mean, he was a good guy, super smart. But honestly, I really didn't have that much interaction with him, so I don't have a good thing to say about like his or anything specific to say about his personality. But, I mean, he was a great coach, obviously.
Speaking of personality, was there any with Belichick?
I never saw it. I mean, he was cool, but I can, being someone that's from Cleveland, I remember Belichick from Cleveland.
Right.
So, when you look at it, it was hard not to kind of see that at first. But actually, once I got there, I mean, he was a cool guy, very smart, very straightforward. You always knew where you stood with him. But honestly, he kind of seemed to stay hands off with the offense. So he was a defensive-minded guy, and he let Charlie Weiss and the rest of the assistant coaches really do their thing on offense.
Raymond, I want to see Shermer and the Browns. Stability is so important in coaching in the pros, and I want to see Shermer succeed. It seems like our guys are playing hard. You know, we just had John Hughes on, one of our fine defensive linemen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything is looking good. We'll see how we finish up these last three games. But there's been a lot of talk and rumors about Saban, who was an assistant under Belichick when Belichick was here in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And you work for Ohio State. Do you believe he would leave Alabama?
I mean, it's hard on the surface. It's hard to believe that he would leave a prime position like the head coach of Alabama. He's built this program back from. I mean, no one ever thought that the program would see the same type of success that it had with Bear Bryant. But Nick Saban has done that. He has a machine there. He's phenomenal with recruiting. When you turn on the draft, you see Nick Saban, high-fiving all the first rounders. They have a machine. For him to actually leave that and then come into the uncertain world of, professional football with the Browns, I just don't see how he would do that. I would think he'd need his head checked if he actually did that.
Yeah, and he's been there, done that. I guess it would be a challenge for him but his legacy, if he stays at Alabama, he could overtake Bear Bryant with national championships.
And that's almost blasphemous to say something like that, but he really has the chance to win that many championships and establish that type of legacy. And remember, the very first time, this all went sour when he went down to Miami, and he realized that coaching in the pros, it's a whole different story than coaching at the collegiate level. I really think that he's found his groove at Alabama.
I think I've heard several answers to but specifically, what is the big differences?
Well, honestly, it's truly a business at the professional level. There's so much business involved at the collegiate level, but it's at least you can look at it with through the scope of its amateurism, and there's so much pageantry, and there's students there. And the guys still have to go to school and they don't get paid. I mean, you can look at it from that scope and say, okay, this is one way. When you go to the NFL, there's no mistake. This is all temporary. The NFL, not for long. Everyone knows that acronym once they get there, and you know that you are basically kind of treated like, you're really like a piece of meat. Basically, you can be great for 1 year, but every single play, every single game, you always got to look behind you because they're always auditioning someone to come in and replace you. That's truly the biggest difference between college and professional football.
When you got done with your professional playing career, you went back to Ohio State. Tell us how that all came about and you got a position with the university.
Oh, yeah. I actually went back. Once I realized and decided what I wanted to do, I did radio and TV broadcasting for a while. And obviously that didn't go very well because I'm not doing it now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
This guy's personality, come on. Don't.
No, but then, I really wanted to do something that was I love my alma mater, and going back, I had a chance to meet and visit with Gene Smith, who took time out of his busy schedule to meet with me, Archie Griffin as well. So, and going back, I just figured, why not do something at a place that I love? A position opened up in the business school. I got my feet wet there, and then another position opened up in the athletic department. So I've been there now for 3 years, and I'm so excited and so happy about my opportunity there. It's so fun to be around student athletes, watching how hungry and how excited they are about everything. It seems so much purer than my years and my days, back in the NFL.
What are your specific duties?
I am a director of development, so I fundraise for all 36 sports that we have there. So I basically I raise gifts. I'm a major gift fundraiser, so I usually bring in gifts of 6 figures and above. So anything and everything I can do to help benefit all of our student athletes in all sports, not just football and basketball, that's what I do.
How tough was it, because you went into the Hall of Fame here in Ohio with Coach Tressel, was that whole thing?
It was awesome to me. I love Coach Tressel. Honestly, to be truthful, when he first took the position, I wasn't sure he was the right guy for the job. All I saw was on the surface a guy who won championships and was successful, but at a small college. And could this guy actually take over Ohio State and do what he needed to do? He proved me wrong, and I learned that, it did not matter. I loved what he brought to Ohio State. I loved the fact that they were extremely successful. His players adored him. They were 9-1 against Michigan, won a national championship. It's hard to argue with those results. So in seeing him at the Hall of Fame, I was actually really, really excited and really honored that I was in the same class as he was.
Yeah, and what a class guy he is. I don't see him. I asked him off the air and he gave me such a long answer.
I'm surprised.
I asked him if he would ever get back into coaching, and he was just, I don't see him going to Division I college ball. I just don't see it. He bleeds scarlet and gray. If anything, the pros, but he's at Akron now,
He's at
an
Akron
administrative role. But I don't see him going to Division I again.
I don't really see it, honestly. I would, I've seen crazy things happen before.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, when you step away from the game, you have a little bit of time away from it. I mean, you truly see and feel like how important it is to you. So maybe down the line that would be something he would want to get back into. But right now it seems that he's like very happy. He and Ellen are in Akron, and it looks like he
what a wonderful
appears to be doing something he wants to do.
I met her for the first time. Really a wonderful woman.
So he seems happy.
Yeah,
so I'm going to leave it like that.
And then again, so that leaves the pros. And does he want the headaches and the 17-hour days, 7 days a week, month after month after month after month? I mean, that's a grind too. Yeah,
it's a different animal. You don't have to recruit anymore, because recruiting, in my opinion, when I think about it, that would be something that would be like really, really difficult. Like going into the homes of 16, 17, 18-year-olds and trying to convince them about coming to school is a different animal from doing it 14, 15, 16 hours a day in the pros, like, evaluating and really noticing that, like, the type of pull and say-so that you have over your players that are grown men who get paid, who in many respects are more important than you are as a coach, is way different than what you have to encounter as a collegiate coach.
Well, Coach Fickle did a nice job on an interim basis in between Coach Tressel, and now tell us about Urban Meyer.
Man, he's amazing. I loved Coach Tressel. Like I said earlier, I mean, you can't argue with his success, and you can't argue with like how great the players responded to his coaching style. But when Urban Meyer came in, I can't lie, Bruce. I was so excited that we were going through so much turmoil last year. For us to be able to get a coach of his stature to come to like a phenomenal university with a great program and tradition, my eyes just lit up. And as you can see, we pretty much had the same team as last year that went 6-7. That went undefeated this year.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard all the naysayers about the Big Ten was weak. Doesn't matter. The Big Ten is hard to play in and week out. I am so excited about what's going to happen with this team for the future. We are so fortunate to have Coach Meyer at the helm.
This Braxton Miller, I don't know how many times I said to the fans, Raymont,
he's special.
I don't know if I'm a defensive coordinator what I would prep my team.
Yeah.
He's indefensible because he is, and he needs to still his skills in passing still need to be developed some. But every single year, you were better your sophomore year than your freshman year, et cetera, and every level of ball that you played, every kid is, and so I anticipate that his passing will be dramatically better next year, as it was this year over last year. But his running and leadership ability is young as he is.
He's a young guy that's special, and he has talents and abilities that you just can't coach. So when you take, you have an athlete that has that kind of those special qualities, and then you throw in seasoning and experience and knowing the offense and having a great rapport with your wide receivers. I mean, the sky is really the limit. He ended up being number 5 in the Heisman balloting this year.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if he's like one of the top 3 guys.
No question about it. And I used a story today about some recruits, and even though with the limited scholarships, the thing with Meyer, Cooper recruited very well. I think Tressel did even better than Cooper, but both coaches got the cream of the crop here in Ohio. And Tressel was able to get a few from other portions of the Meyer is going to be getting them from all over the nation. And he's showing, I heard the other day that of 17 recruits, and that's been updated since, that some of the best are from Florida. There's a defensive lineman from Florida that's blazing fast, I guess, Southeastern Conference style. So that too is exciting.
The fact that, Ohio State is not like a regional school. It's not like some little small school that, these guys have come in and built up. It's already a national school. But then throw in the fact that you have a guy that has a national reach, like Urban Meyer, who can go to Florida, can go to Texas, can go to California and bring speed and skill and athleticism to the Midwest. In the Big Ten, it's a perfect marriage of talents and abilities, and that's one of the reasons why, like, we at Ohio State that work in the administration and athletic department, we just feel like, man, this is some really special times that we're witnessing right now.
And there was a big celebration the other day too. Big crowd turned out.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were there.
Yeah, the 12-0 perfection.
Yeah,
it was great to see those guys. They've gone through so much adversity and so much turmoil with all the things that happened last year and the year before, and to see them come out as seniors, to be able to be recognized for what they did on the field, it was such a heartwarming thing.
One of our own, Raymont Harris, on All Bets Are Off. Your phone calls are welcome at 1-866-786-8551.